Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you've all had a wonderful Christmas, and if you don't celebrate Christmas, then I hope you've had a wonderful whatever it is that you do celebrate. I have recently invested in the Beauty Blender, and I already owned the Real Techniques makeup sponge, so I figured I would do a product showdown to see what the difference is with the two, if one is better than the other one, and I will also be doing a first impressions on the Too Faced Born This Way Absolute Perfection foundation, so stay tuned. This is the Real Techniques makeup sponge, and this retails for $7. This is the Beauty Blender, and this retails for $20. Now, if we're just going off of like the five senses, what can you see, feel, touch? Obviously the Real Techniques sponge is a tad bit bigger than the Beauty Blender. Also, the Real Techniques sponge has a flat surface for applying your foundation, while the Beauty Blender has a round surface for applying your foundation. However, they both have the pointy ends to get in there with your concealer. Also, the Real Techniques sponge is a tad bit heavier than the Beauty Blender when wet. You're supposed to use them wet, though. I didn't know that until a good month of using my Real Techniques sponge, and I was literally sitting there like, am I doing this wrong? Why doesn't it look like everybody else's does? And then I realized it's supposed to be wet. So if you didn't know that, now you know, use them wet. But we're going to put these to the test to see how they apply your makeup and what the similarities and differences are. And to do that, I'm going to be using the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. I have high hopes for this foundation just because I've heard really great things about it, and they just recently came out with darker shades. I am a little nervous though because you can only order it online through Ulta, and I usually like to try the foundation on in the store. And if you watched my Glam Glow video, then you would have seen that I mentioned ever since I started using Glam Glow and pretty much changing up my whole skincare routine, my skin has changed. I don't know if it's specifically the products, or if it's just because I'm getting older, but the foundation I loved for 90% of 2015 no longer works on my skin, so I am on the hunt for a new foundation, so hopefully this is it. Is that my phone? So I've already applied my moisturizer, and I've already applied my primer using the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer Water. On this side of my face, I'm going to be using the Beauty Blender, and on this side of my face, I'm going to be using the Real Techniques sponge. A little bit about the foundation before I get started though. Like I said, it is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. This retails for $38, $39, somewhere, one of those two, for 1 fluid ounce. And I picked up the shade Mahogany. Alright, let's see how this goes. Ooh, and it has a pump. Plus, liking this so far. I've been falling in love with Too Faced products. I picked up one of their palettes, and if you watch my Battle of the Liquid Lipstick video... Ooh. Oh, okay. That's really orange. Okay, this is what it looks like coming right out of the jar. It's a little watery, a little bit. It's a little more orange than I thought it would be. Alright, alright, alright. Not that bad yet. Okay, alright. Let's see how this goes. Alright. Ooh. Alright.
Bruh.
Okay. Usually I like a foundation that has more of a reddish undertone. This seems to have more of a goldeny yellow undertone. But you know, let's see what we can work with here. Alright. Okay, so that is the Beauty Blender side. We're gonna let that dry and go in with the Real Techniques sponge. you know what, let's give it like 5 minutes to dry, come back and see if it dries a little bit better than it applies. Well, I've waited 5 minutes, see if it would settle differently than it applied, and this is the finished outcome. This is the darkest shade that they have. This Mahogany, yeah, that's the darkest shade that they have. And just to give you like a little idea of where I stand with different brands, I am a 178 in the Makeup Forever HD foundation. I'm an 84 Cocoa Medium in the Marc Jacobs Genius Gel, and I am a 61 in the Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation. I don't remember the number, but it's Rich Cocoa in the Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation. And, you know, I tried. Like, I really did try with this. You know, I thought, like, maybe if I just spend more time patting it in, then it'll do something differently, but it did not. And I'm disappointed because I really was starting to like Too Faced products, but maybe I'll just stick to their eyeshadows and their lipsticks, because who's going out with this Scream mask on? Who? And it's sad, like, well, they did come out with more darker shades after people started complaining that their shade range sucked. So maybe they'll come out with even more darker shades, because I feel like I would like this foundation if this was my undertone and if this was my shade, because it's lightweight, which I love. I don't like heavy foundations, and it's a medium to full coverage foundation, which I love, because some days, well, on most days, if I do wear makeup, I like medium foundations, but if I'm going out and I want to be seen, then I do like a full coverage. So hopefully they can work on that, because this Born This Way was not born for me. Now back to the other part of what this video was about, and that was the product showdown between the Beauty Blender and the Real Techniques makeup sponge. Now do remember that this was the side of my face that I used the Beauty Blender on, and this was the side of my face that I used the Real Techniques makeup sponge on. If I had to say, I would definitely... Bitch. We can also add the fact that it easily transfers to the cons on the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. Anywho, now if I had to say, I would say it was easier to apply my foundation with the Real Techniques makeup sponge, just because it does have this flat surface, so it was easier to get into every little crevice in my face. However, overall, I like how my foundation applied with the Beauty Blender. I just think it left more of a smooth finish, and I feel like it blended easier with the Beauty Blender. So usually this would be the part of the video where I let you know what time of day it is, and then I'll be back later to let you know how this wore throughout the day, but come on now. Do we really need to go through all that? You really think I'm keeping this foundation? I mean, I'm so happy I'm in the holiday spirit, because if I was not, I would return this to the mall tonight at 9:29, a minute before the mall closes. Like, give me my money back on Christmas Eve. But I am in the holiday spirit, and because I'm in the holiday spirit, I will say some nice things about this Too Faced foundation. I like the coverage, I like that it was lightweight, and if you can find a color match in this foundation, then I do recommend it. I could not find a color match in this foundation, which is why it's going back to the store. And as far as the makeup sponges go, I did ultimately pick the Beauty Blender over the Real Techniques sponge. However, not everybody has the means to spend $20 on a makeup sponge, and not everybody wants to. I mean, it took me 2 years to buy this makeup sponge. So I would recommend both the Beauty Blender and the Real Techniques sponge, especially the Real Techniques sponge for beginners, just because, like I said, it was easier to apply my foundation with the flat surface. So you could go either way with these. I own both. I would buy both of them again. I'm probably gonna have to buy a new one in this one. But that's pretty much it. I hope this video helped in some type of way. I can't wait to turn the camera off and wash this off of my face. Let me know down below if you have any foundation recommendations, because clearly the hunt for a foundation is still on. Make sure to thumbs up, comment, and subscribe down below. Happy holidays once again, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!